steel, and it's bottom. You just do that.
Oh.
Recording in progress.
Order the regular meeting of the Rio Dell City Council. Roll call, please.
Mayor Garnes.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Carter.
Here.
Councilmember Orr.
Here.
Councilmember Wilson.
Sure.
Councilmember Woodall.
Excused. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public presentations. This is the time for persons who wish to address the council on any matter not on this agenda and over which the council has jurisdiction. As such, a dialogue with council or staff is not allowed under the Ralph M. Brown Act. Items requiring council action not listed on this agenda may be placed on the next regular agenda if council directs, unless the finding is made by at least 2/3 of the council that the item came up after the agenda was posted and is of an urgency nature requiring immediate action. Please limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. Hands? Emails? And we'll move on to the consent calendar. Is there anyone who would like to remove, any council member like to remove an item from the consent calendar? Anyone? Okay, so is there a motion to accept the consent calendar? So moved. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Motion carries 4-0. Staff reports and communications, city manager, and staff updates, page 64 in our packets.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes and members of the council. This morning, staff and Mayor Garnes were able to meet with representatives of the Department of General Services, CAL FIRE, and Senator McGuire and his staff to discuss the state's recent acquisition of the 18-acre formerly referred to as Todd property, but now probably better referred to as the CAL FIRE property. Overall, I would say it was a good first meeting, and that information was exchanged in particular from the city to the group, which included the individuals in charge of the overall project, from CAL FIRE's and also from Department of General Services. So some things that were cleared up is that there would be connection to water and sewer services in the project, and that's some of the language that suggested that it was going to be a separate well and water system storage and all that was erroneous. So that was some good news, and I think we made a compelling case as to why it is in everyone's best interest to have a partnership related to the property. At this time, though, they are not going to be responding to that with definitive answers. They want to go through their design process and make sure that they get everything that they need for the property. And once that is complete, and we will, hear back from them. So no commitment on their end, but I think overall it was a good conversation. And we can expect to have another one of these certainly before the end of the year, but not a couple more meetings before the end of the year. So I want to just say thank you to Senator McGuire and his staff for assembling that meeting. And so there is communication and dialogue going on, which I think is vastly improved over where we were just a couple of weeks ago. On another note, the City Council's next regularly scheduled meeting is September 5th, 2023. And that will be a change in time. So our meetings have historically started at 6:30 p.m. on the first and third Tuesdays of every month. And this first meeting on September 5th, Tuesday, September 5th, will start at 6 p.m. With that, there is a short staff report here today. I know the chief is out of town, but staff is happy to respond to any questions that the council may have.
Thank you, City Manager. Mayor Dell.
My only questions are for the chief, so I will come bother him later.
Councilmember Orr?
No question.
Councilmember Wilson?
No question.
Dan, I have no questions. Any questions? No? No? Any hand raised? Any emails? Then we will close this and move on to special call items. Authorize the city manager to finalize and issue the request for proposal for the Gateway landscape improvements, page 68 in our packets. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor Barnes, members of the council. So the city was awarded nearly $200,000 for the Gateway enhancement project through the Clean California program. Fundamentally, there are two components to the project, one related to landscaping and one related to exercise equipment and access to the exercise equipment. In developing these two projects, it was clear that what would be most advantageous would be to split them into two separate projects for bidding purposes, just because landscaping is very different from the excavation, cement work for sidewalks and ADA access for the exercise station. That will be, the exercise station will be forthcoming, hopefully at the September 5th meeting to kind of finalize that specific RFP with the council and move forward on those items. But for this, tonight's item is just specifically to focus in on the Gateway, which is our primary grant commitments are related to tree planting in this case, and that also irrigation updates. So the most important page here is really the very last page in your packet, which is just the bid schedule for the Gateway landscape that includes some standard items put out in the bidding process, but includes the removal of and sun grinding for 25 pre-existing trees, the excavation and preparation of areas for the new tree plantings, as the council may be aware. Part of the reason why many of the trees have failed over the years is that they're really planted in kind of a shallow gravel bed that doesn't help with the nutrients for the tree. So we need to excavate and add additional dirt to make the tree successful. Working with council members Barnes, Mayor Barnes, and Mayor Pro Tem Carter, your council's ad hoc committee on this, the recommendation in terms of tree selection was to plant consistently the flowering cherry, both on the sidewalks and also on the medians. So unfortunately, I don't have an updated image, but we'll do the best that we can to share what we have. But originally there was a vision of two different tree types, and down the median gateway. In this case, they would be the flowering cherry variety. And again, we were able to fit about 99 of the trees. Originally, there were 123 identified in the grant. However, there were some changes in terms of preserving existing successful cherry trees. And then also the median island in front of Route 101 was also removed several years ago. That was an omission, an accidental omission from the grant application. process. So just the basic idea is a row of or three rows of flowering cherries up and down Wildwood Avenue, essentially from Davis Street down to Bellevue. So the image on the screen is just an example of one of the earlier phases where we were discussing potentially changing out the median landscaping from grass to some other type of lower maintenance system. However, that is not really covered by the grant and is also extremely expensive to replace the turf. So again, the project specifically for landscaping involves the planting of trees and then the updating of the irrigation system, which the sprinklers are the original system. And so by replacing the sprinkler heads with updated, more water efficient and more sprinklers are better able to contour to the landscaping. It'll become a more water efficient medium at the same time. And that, let me see if I'm missing anything else. And then with you'll see at on the ends of each of the medians are a series of cluster trees, which we would need to select kind of an easier tree to navigate the visual sight lines for the roadway. So those would have to be a little bit smaller, either tall and narrow, or short and wide. So those tree selections would have to occur down the road. But I think there's a lot of different options for those. So with that, really relatively simple project and setup, but certainly we want to get this out to bid, get the contractors ready to work during the tree planting season. And now is a good time to be putting out the seed bid for this type of project. So with that, I will return it to the mayor to see if there's any other comments from the ad hoc committee or questions from the council.
Well, would you want to take questions and then we can take questions? Yeah. Councilmember Wilson?
Yeah, thank you to the ad hoc committee and mayor for giving the options involved and put this together. It's a great project, and it looks like it's going to be even better when it's done. My one question is, does this have any effect on the flag?
So some of the flagpoles may need to be moved, but overall, I think there's a way to kind of work around that to make sure the flagpoles are there. My understanding is, and Randy could correct me, but the design on the flagpole holders is flawed in that the irrigation system puts water into the center of the flagpoles, into the hole. So when you place the flagpoles in, they get wet and the wood expands, and then they're difficult to remove. So those may need to be replaced in their entirety altogether, just because obviously we can't stop watering the medians and the areas where the flagpoles are located. So there would need to be some sort of modified design of those to maybe potentially adjust to that.
Is that all on the median?
They all feel the same way, so yes, they would all be big posts.
But how many years is that? Whole lot. Well, I don't have any questions, but the city would be able to do that.
That is not under discussion. I know that the chamber has raised funds prior to do that, but that is something that we could look into with the chamber. It would not be covered under this grant. I think staff, and occasionally we get a little bit unwieldy with the design, including looking at replacing the turf and all that stuff, and really this is a really pared down proposal that focuses solely on the deliverables in the grant because the available funding is so limited.
Just one question, the excavation for the trees, the 5 foot by 5 foot, is that pretty much the entire median?
The width of the medians in between the curves is about 9 feet, so we close, but,
and then from tree to tree.
Yeah, so in it, we have a final, in the bid package, there's a final kind of exact placements and time set aside for us to work with the contractor to do the final placement. But roughly in the image that was on the screen earlier, and I don't know the exact foot distance, but it would be consistent. Those are each tree is accounted for.
So the curves pretty much can be gone until something else is.
As the trees grow, in theory, and you get more shade there, the grass is going to grow less. It's going to require less water, and so on. And there may be other funding opportunities in the future to eliminate some of the grass. I think at those end caps, one of the opportunities here is to take 15, 20 feet and convert them over to the wood chip design so they integrate a little bit better with the other median islands in the center of town.
No questions per se. I can speak to Councilmember Wilson's question, Slackville. So I know that the Chamber of Commerce has really struggled with those holes not working as well as they would like them to. And there's always some cockamamie harebrained idea about how they're going to add some, whatever. I think they would be okay. They know that those holes need to be revamped a little bit. They're also struggling to find volunteers to help put up and take down the flags. So if anybody listening wants to volunteer for the chamber to help take down and put up flags, I know they'd be open to it. But they're also discussing the idea of maybe scaling back on exactly how many there are around town on flag holidays. So I think they would definitely be open to discussing the future of flag.
I didn't know there was a problem.
Of course, right. So I'm the chamber liaison. I can take it to them and we can, go from there. But yeah. But once again, they're looking for volunteers to set up flagpoles at like 5:30 in the morning and then take them down in the evening. It's tough. But it is made tougher by the fact that the flags do not fit appropriately in the holes. And it might be a little bit easier to find people to help out with that if it weren't so difficult. It's a struggle and frustrating. Beyond that, I think this is a lovely project. I cannot wait. When I first came to Rio Dell to look at a potential house, the first thing I noticed was this lovely line of the cherry trees were blooming at that time, and I can't wait to see them all down the sides in the middle. Just a tunnel of beautiful flowering trees. It's very exciting. So that's it. Thank you.
I too am very excited and appreciate all the staff's done to make this happen, and thankful for the grant. And I think in the end, we're going to all be really, really happy and excited. So, yeah. So I guess, is there any question?
I have a question. Jonathan Rodier.
Thank you.
Why couldn't you just drill a hole in the bottom, like a little half-inch hole to weed the water?
You can come to the next chamber meeting and you can ask them.
And volunteer. I guess. All right. I don't know. Drill a hole.
I'm not kidding. They need solutions. You think you got a solution? You come and you talk to them about flags. It is on every single agenda.
All right.
Okay.
Rich, any questions, Rich? No? Okay. Welcome, Supervisor Bushnell. Thank you for coming. And have any questions about our Gateway project? No? Okay. And any hand raised, any emails? Okay, then I would ask for a motion to authorize the city manager to finalize and issue the request for proposal for the Gateway Landscape project.
I will happily make that motion.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries 4-0. And that brings us to council communications. Mayor Pro Tem.
We're on a list. Wildwood Days. Wow. What a year we had for Wildwood Days. The amount of, kudos and thank yous is beyond measure. Obviously, the fire department did a phenomenal job. That was a lot of work. And I really, really was happy to see such a great community turnout. I saw people bringing their families from Texas and Colorado and whatever. And just a lot of our own citizens turned out to participate. And it was wonderful to see those crowds. The fireworks were amazing. And I stood and I watched those fireworks and I just felt so much pride in my city. And I thought, I'm glad I live here and really glad to get involved. And I think that something like Wildwood Days probably sows that kind of feeling in the whole city. And we really, really needed it this year. And I'm just so thankful it went off so well. We did have a chamber meeting on August 4th. It was mostly Wildwood Day stuff, so I don't really have much to, and flagpoles, but I don't have much to report on from that. We had a meeting of the Beautification, Walkability, and Pride Committee where we did a lot of recapping of our community cleanup day that we hosted prior to Wildwood Days, which went really well. And we are talking about holding that event a little bit more regularly. So thank you, to the Resource Center and to city staff and, everybody who volunteered to help pick up trash and kittens. I found a kitten. I attended an ad hoc for the Gateway RFP. We just heard about that, so nothing to report out there. I do have a Cal Cities business meeting this Friday in Fortuna from 3 to 5. And I think it's like the president of all of Cal Cities coming to speak. So it's exciting to hear what you just say. So I've never met him, so I'm excited to meet him. Thank you. I think that's it for me.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Orr?
Nothing really to report. At an HCOG meeting on Thursday, but also on the Wildwood Days. Unfortunately, I had soccer tournaments out of town, but based on the number of cars parked in front of the house, before and after, it must have been a good turnout. And I have to say that whoever is in charge of cleanup or telling people to clean up, it was amazing this year. There was not a single cut left on the fence or in the gutter around the house. So it went very well. Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Wilson?
Yeah, on Wildwood Days, it was, as Councilmember Carter said, it was pretty phenomenal. I mean, it seems like this is one of the better ones that I've seen in recent years. I know the car show was bigger. Talked to the council members from Ferndale, and brought had his car over and was complimentary to the one it just seemed even a break where the parade went down, came back around this time ring, went down and came back. I thought it was better. Right? It seemed like it was a little more well planned. Thank you to all the people that did that. I did have an HWA meeting last week, and we're hoping that next month the director's going to come down and do a presentation on 1383, and he's working that out with Kyle on what he will. But just a heads up is this 1383 is a mess. Right? It is the state woke up to this. Probably a year or two late, they're waking up to the fact that they're actually asking for something that's they're not ready for, the state's not ready for it, the jurisdiction's not ready for it. And so it's hold off is going to be fascinating to watch. Other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you. And I want to just jump on the Yay Wildwood Days bandwagon. It was amazing. We presented young men with their certificates, and they were very grateful, and they were proud that we actually recognized them. And it was just from Thursday when Supervisor Bushdall and Supervisor Bone came out, and we did rib tasting all the way through to the end. You guys were there, up there on stage, and Rex did the auction. Softball went well. It was a great turnout. The fireworks were just phenomenal. And we're just grateful. It was like one of those moments you're like, yay, I live here, and everybody should be proud who lives here. So it was really fun. It was a fun weekend for sure. I went to HTA meeting, stand in for Julie, and one of the most important topics was the microtransit, where they're going to have like the dial-a-ride that exists now will become this microtransit thing where just anyone can go and find the schedule, go down. The dial-a-ride people will be first. Of course, they will have priority, but then when there's openings, then just regular citizens who want to go from here to there can jump on board at one of the stops. That's coming up. They're going to do a trial in Eureka first. It's going to start there, but then hopefully it'll expand to the rest of the region. And I also will be at the Cal Cities meeting on Friday the 18th. That's this Friday. And everyone should come. It should be interesting. It's usually pretty interesting. So
it's nice to meet council members from other jurisdictions other than the coast. That's And
there's a reception afterwards, so you can have little snacks and cocktails. So you can have fun. But anyway, I think that's all I have.
And Mayor Garnes, if you'll allow me to, I just have one other announcement that Travis reminded me of, which is we have a tire drop-off event on the 19th, so that's Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the elementary school. And so specifically that is for, tires, not rims, but tires off of rims. Can be dropped off at the location free of charge, which tires can be kind of a big hassle to legally transport on the freeway. So this is an opportunity again for folks both in Rio Dell and anywhere else who have tires to bring into the school again. Saturday this night, the 19th, this Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the elementary school.
Thank you. Yeah, that was very important. I should have remembered that one. But I think everyone remember 6 o'clock on September 5th. We will be starting our meetings at 6 o'clock. And so don't forget, Rich, 6 o'clock. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Meeting
But